Hello, everybody. It is Saturday. We had a slow start to the morning, and we like to do that on the weekends, and then just did all of the normal morning routine things. And then I just felt like my mind was kind of racing. I felt like I just kind of kept going over in my head all of the things that we wanted to do this weekend. We want to enjoy a few things, we want to take it easy, and we also want to get a lot of outside work done since it rained most of the week. And I had one page left in my Halloween coloring book, so I thought it'd be the perfect time to just finish it off, get it completely done, and then I find once I start coloring, I just kind of like relax, I calm down, and then I'm going to get my little pad of paper out and just kind of do a brain dump of all of the things that we would like to get done this weekend. I am just putting the finishing touches on this page, and I really enjoyed it. I'm thinking ahead a little bit. I would like to do some full scene pictures for November, try a few techniques, but I'm also thinking ahead to December, and I think a simpler coloring book for that month would be very beneficial for me, just to have something simple to complete, because December is a pretty busy month. And then the night before, my shoes came later in the day, and this was my birthday present. So these were the black loafers that I was wanting. I have a couple of other pairs, but I have the brown pair like this, and they're really comfortable. And then this is what I really wanted, was the Clark's brown boots with the little side zipper. Now I do have a pair of like charcoal colored Blundstones, which I do like, but I wanted a nice little brown pair of boots, and I really like these. They're kind of suede, but then the toe is leather, and I really like the color. I had a pair of Clark's boots years ago, and I wore them out. They were just so comfortable. So the last two additions to my wardrobe, and I am good to go for the winter months. And I am making an easy hamburger soup tonight. I will put the recipe link down below. I'm pretty much following it along, but I don't have a can of tomato soup, so I am going to use the diced tomatoes, but I'm going to use a can of tomato paste. And I think this will work because I like to do soups a little bit more like a stew, because I do find that they work best for our son. But this is a meal where it's just ground beef, you have your onions, your vegetables, and then beef broth, and you can use frozen vegetables. I am going to use fresh, and you just chop everything up and put it into the pot. And this really didn't even take that long. So we're going to start off with a pound of ground beef in the pan, and then I'm just slicing up the onion, adding it in, and then I'm going to start chopping up all of the vegetables. I have really enjoyed getting back into cooking. The beginning of the Burr months, you're excited for all of the soups and the stews and the heartier meals. And I've been trying to keep them simple, but it's also been really nice to try some new recipes and make it work that Andrew will enjoy it. And the boys are right there. They know that I have carrots. And I do really like these sweet baby carrots from Costco. I find that Andrew likes these a lot better compared to the ones I get from the grocery store and then have to peel them and cut them. I find those ones have an earthier taste to them, and these ones are a little bit sweeter. I find he doesn't really make a funny face when he eats them, and he does enjoy them. So I've been trying to use them in some of the recipes and getting him used to it. And then we'll see, because I can't always have these carrots in the fridge. But I have been really happy just using simple ingredients like ground beef and tomatoes and broth, and then using the vegetables, lots of times peppers, but I do like to keep those carrots, onions, and celery for this time of the year. And this was a perfect example of just coming up with a recipe that had really simple ingredients. Now, it did call for 3 cups of frozen mixed vegetables or fresh chopped, but I could have used peppers. I think you could use zucchini. Like, honestly, you could use whatever you have, and then just dumping in the tomatoes and then adding in the tomato paste. I thought about putting tomato sauce in, but then I thought it would be a little bit too liquidy. And then it also called for 3.5 cups of beef broth, and I think I'm going to keep it about 3 because I don't want it to have too brothy. I want it to be a little bit heartier and more like a stew, because I find that's what Andrew works really well with whenever we're eating. So just going to open up the beef broth, add everything in, and then it called for garlic too. And then you're just going to use Italian seasoning, a bay leaf, salt and pepper, and then some Worcestershire sauce. So a very simple meal. I would call this probably a pantry meal, and this would be perfect on a cold, snowy winter day. And then to make a homemade loaf of bread to go along with it, I think would be just perfect. I brought it to a boil, and then I'm just going to put the lid on, let it simmer for about 15 minutes. I just want to make sure that the carrots and the celery are cooked a little bit, and now I'm adding in the potatoes. But if I would have used the frozen mixed vegetables like the recipe said, I would have followed the instructions. But I do know that the carrots and celery can take a little bit longer. And I'm also adding a little bit more pepper and then some parsley. And then I'm also going to add in some frozen peas just to have some more vegetables. And I love that Andrew is enjoying different meals with more vegetables. I think it's really good for a balanced diet. I remember when he was younger and he didn't eat fruits and vegetables at all, and how often he would get sick just with a head cold and how long it lasted. And it's just such a difference having those fruits and vegetables and everything in his diet and protein. It was really good. I would like to try it with the tomato soup. I found it was missing something. It was very good, but it still needed just a little something. We are at a haunted walk, and I didn't realize it was going to be this busy and that there was going to be a lineup. But Andrew did really great waiting, and then all of a sudden it got dark. And we had taken Andrew to Spirit Halloween to see how he would do with jump scares. But it was very family friendly. They knew when to scare and when not to. And then once we got in, it was just walking, going through all of the different obstacles and all of that. And we really enjoyed it. It was very dark. I'm trying to be in the moment, but I just wanted to share a little bit with all of you. But like, there was people like behind the trees. Some of them were like folded up and it looked like a rock. So you kind of like were scared, but it wasn't like scary. But there was chainsaws and witches and all sorts of different things to see. But it was really nice. We really enjoyed it. It was later than I thought it was going to be. So once we got into the car and on our way home, Andrew had a little bit of anxiety, but he did really great. We really enjoyed it, and it was just a perfect, chilly, spooky night to enjoy a little bit of Halloween festivities.